Let's go, let's go, let's go. Another week, Smack Talk. We are back. It is Tuesday, and we got a ton of news to report across the board. Abu Dhabi taking shape. Russel Rivero and Austin Turpin going down. What a banger that's going to be in the light heavyweight division. We also got a confirmed date, Power Slap number 10, taking place December 6th. And as we spoke about on a previous episode, we've got January 30th, which we believe to be Power Slap 11. We've got 3 events on tap coming up in quick succession. On this show, we've got some incredible guests. We've got Vern Cathy. We've got former champ Emmanuel Muniz. And we've got the water boy, Eviahn Scott. Ding, we've got a phenomenal show lined up for you. We've got a ton of news breaking and some phenomenal guests. What can people expect?
It's the gift that keeps on giving, man. I mean, we've got 3 matches that we know now for Power Slap 9. We've never known not only just more than one event, but also just even this far in advance, man, where we're looking at now. We have 3 events between now and January 30th. Obviously, we know 2 of those events are international events. So that gives us an opportunity, and the strikers and the athletes an opportunity to showcase their skills and their marketability to a new audience. It's a very, very exciting time. Obviously, that makes at least 30 or so matchups for us to kind of play around and match make. And obviously, who knows if the things that happen at 9 will translate to what happens at 10 or 11. So it's a very interesting time, and it's uncharted territory for sure, man.
Yeah, I mean, these overseas events obviously make things a little bit different. You know, the brass of Power Slap before, when they were at home in Las Vegas, they can methodically, release the fights when it's best for them as it goes in the cards. Throwing this going overseas, obviously you have other people that are now taking over some of that control per se, when they want tickets on sale, when they want these key headline events out so that they can sell tickets to their event, which I think is leading into why we were getting these announcements even sooner. Even though still got to give them props. They didn't have to give us Power Slap 10 in Las Vegas, December 10th, but we do know that tickets are going to be on sale October 24th. The boys are going to be back in town again. Going to give a shout out to some of the hardcore followers. Obviously, Don Jacobs, Vern White. We see them on social already getting excited to get those VIP packages, which seem to just keep on blowing up with more and more to give, as we talked about last week. The boys will be back, and great to see the sport come back. And as part of that as well, Fontaine Bleau announcing 5 events, the residency in Las Vegas, picked up by the Sports Business Journal, by a number of major news outlets that ran with this story yesterday when it broke. Let's dive into the details, Ding.
Yeah, so the delivery was that Fontaine Bleau is an official home for Power Slap through 2025. They're going to host a series of 5 events is what the commitment currently shows. And that first event is going to be that Power Slap number 10 on December 6th. So we expect 4 additional events in 2025 at Fontaine Bleau in Las Vegas. I did see on one article, and I don't want to misspeak, so I will say this is unconfirmed, but I did see in one article that is applicable to both properties. So the Miami campus as well. So there is a possibility that we see Florida in the mix. We see Miami in the mix. I know we've had strikers pretty excited about the prospect of being able to compete in Miami, of course. And, we know that there's Saudi in January. Turkey Al Sheikh has said that there'll be 2 Saudi events in 2025. So does that mean that we are doing more than 5 events next year? Chances are looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I kind of see this unrolling right now, the way we've got these next 3 events, and potentially, like you said, the events overseas mixed in with the announcement for Fontaine Bleau, we have the opportunity here where I think we are going to see a fight card every 4 to 6 weeks. I think we're going to get up in that range of 10 to 12 events potentially. So all you strikers that are here listening to us, as we know you guys love to get in here, we appreciate you guys in the comments, everything that you guys do. Get ready, because the opportunities are going to come. We talked about it before, how it's getting even more hard to get on these events as the roster is ballooning. But right now seems to be that moment that things are switching. So if you're not ready, make sure you are. Make sure you're getting into camp. Make sure you're getting into shape. Make sure that you're there and ready to go, because we're going to have fights on back-to-back months here coming in very quick succession. And you're going to want to be there if that phone rings. We know that cards change all the time. Fights get added, fights get dropped. And we're starting to see now that this is really going to get that extra diesel fuel on that engine for this thing to go to a whole other stratosphere coming in. So make sure you're ready. Make sure you're relevant. Make sure that you are in the mix because there is going to be ample opportunity for strikers to get in here. And if you guys have been sitting there waiting in the weeds, make sure you're promoting on social, make sure you're training hard. And you fans, you guys are getting the gifts that keep on giving. I know the hardcore fans that watch this show have been craving for more and more fights to come, and we are going to get it, which is phenomenal. Let's talk about that fight announcement that just came out in the last 48 hours. Russel Rivero and Austin Turpin in the light heavyweight division.
Dude, that is a banger. I think we've matchmaked that in the past. Obviously, those guys being kind of neck and neck, right, at number 2 and number 3 in that division. Of course, there's an asterisk, around Austin Turpin and his ability to make 205. I would think if there's a time to be locked in, he's kind of been a ghost on social lately. He reposts things every once in a while, but I know he had gotten with a trainer. I'm expecting a ready and prepared Austin Turpin on October 24th. And I think, Russel Rivero, we know, isn't a guy that takes fights he doesn't want to participate in as he's on his quest to the championship. And so I'm expecting this one to be a banger. And I'm interested to see how the trash talk, number one, if the trash talk comes with Austin Turpin, which I think the over-under on would probably be minus 10,000, that the trash talk comes with Austin Turpin. But with that trash talk, how does a guy like Russel Rivero, who's this very macho, very, large kind of presence, man, a few words, but you get the point. You know that he's there. He's a big dude. He's scary looking. He's very powerful. What does he do? What does he say when a guy like Austin Turpin's, harassing you, making up funny nicknames, saying stuff about you on social, making videos, and the antics that we'll see during fight week? Should the weight miss, be able to be behind Austin Turpin at this point?
Yeah, we know that this started a long time ago. I'll let you get in the details of what happened at a previous event, but they have actually had a run-in before. And it actually ended up, allegedly, one of them in handcuffs. We know Russell takes this incredibly serious. He's a very serious person. Power slap is one of these things, as he said before. He does it for the money. He does it for his family. The disrespect is not going to sit well with him, and I think we've seen that before. And I'm going to ask you a second part to this question as well. Is Austin Turpin being quiet right now? Is that a good sign?
It hasn't been a good sign in the past, man. Usually when he goes dark, it feels like that's his way of trying to figure out who's going to show up on the day. In the past, we've seen the accountability check-ins on social, right? Him going to the gym, him recording himself running or at the sauna or at the swimming pool or riding a bike. I prefer that. Not to say that doesn't mean he's not locked in, but in the past, we haven't seen much from him. As we get closer to the fight day comes, and I'll be honest with you, we were there last time. We were shocked just because we had been with him the day before. Talked to him. We were filming. We had conversations with him. He looked great. He was in good spirits. And then, he steps up there. Obviously, there was a lot of question given that he didn't show up so early. He gets his own private ride to the weigh-ins. And then we see his face when he walks up there. And I remember your face. You were like, holy shit, Austin Turpin just missed weight. Mm-hmm. Because there was no indication that was the case. So I'm hoping that we can take some piece from that in that, we really don't know, because last time we thought he was locked in and clearly he wasn't, but he looked like he was. So maybe him not being around means that he's locked in. Maybe that's his way of putting his head down and getting to the making sure that he's grinding and getting ready for that fight, because he's in for quite a fight. And I think that he knows that.
Yeah. I mean, just add a little bit of context to that specifically. So normally Frank, the president, stands to stage right left in the media room, and he stands there and he watches all the fighters weigh in. As soon as Erica or anybody else calls for Frank to leave that side post, you instantly know in the media room that something is up. And you see, as he returns, the visible distraught look on his face, almost that red look. You knew something was happening. And when you looked at who's weighed in and who hasn't weighed in, and then you get Austin, who's still sitting out there, we kind of knew something was coming. And as you said, as soon as we seen Austin enter that room, things clearly were not on pace. So we'll see. I mean, this has happened twice now. I think he's a smart enough guy that he knows that he needs to get his life together, and maybe going dark for him is the best way to get away from the distractions of everything else that's going on in his life and really focus. I mean, that's what I hope he's doing. Hopefully he's in that trainer. hopefully he's grinding hard and we continue to go, forward and we get this match that everybody wants to see. But I know, like I said in the previous question, there was some history there. Dink, fill us in on that.
So history between Austin Turpin and Russel Rivero, I'm missing something.
Yeah, so we had that talk. So I want to say it was Power Slap 3, was it not? Power Slap 3. I'm sure, I believe it was Power Slap 3. And someone here might actually even know this in the chat as well. But I know there was a scuffle at the hotel. And Russel Rivera might have actually been, I believe he was temporarily held in handcuffs, either by the security at the casino or by the police itself. So it was on Fremont Street. So there was an altercation between them. Russell's in cuffs, confirmed by the Iron Giant. So
it was Russell in cuffs. Yeah, actually, I didn't know about that. I'll be honest with you.
Correct. Okay.
Obviously, that wasn't something that was reported publicly. Yeah. And I think that was right before I joined the team.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
So there is some past history there. So if you want to talk about, is the smack talk going to get to Russell? We're going to see. So I think it's going to be either way.
Listen, if you're giving me the over under, bro, I'm betting he's not gonna have it, man.
Oh, 100% he's not. 100% he's not going to have it for sure. A lot going on when we got Russell got caught. TJ, my man. That's pretty funny. But we've got these events coming up. We keep getting even more excitement, which I think is phenomenal. Anthony Blackburn is doing everything I think that a champion should do. Dude, this guy's going on tour in a campground with a podcast. We see he was out in Texas this past weekend. Like, he's getting out there with the belt and he's representing it well. He's wearing that belt on his shoulder with pride everywhere that he goes. And I mean, he's really out there spreading the love of Power Slap and the word in a way how you build the sport one by one on a very personal level. Personal handshakes, personal photos. He's doing appearances. He's doing autographs. I mean, would you have thought Anthony Blackburn, of all people who I'm sure is listening, would have turned into the ambassador that he has?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to say no from when we first saw him. But as time has gone on, I really do think he's a role model for what, commitment should look like in the sport. And I also think he's such a nice guy, man. He's so personable. He could talk to anybody. He can relate to anybody. And he represents, the working class of America and a guy who's not afraid to put his pedal to the metal and make things happen for himself. And he's not ashamed to say, like, I'm not perfect. I'm just like you. And I think when you are able to relate to people on that level, it's hard not to love a guy like that. And again, the kendama and the right on one, like, he kind of understands that way to sort of set trends and create buzz and tap into markets that nobody really thought. I mean, who would have thought kendama and slap would have any relationship to each other at all, right? But he started this trend within the slap community where he's got slap fighters interested in what is it, right? He's talking about how some of the traits and the techniques that he's used over his time, participating in kendama, have translated to him being a successful athlete in power slap. I mean, I think all of it, man, is just incredible. And I think he's one of those guys that you're not concerned when you say he's the one who's out there that is the face of, he's the baby face of the place.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the comments that just went up. We literally had 5 or 6 strikers immediately, stand up and talk about how much he deserves it, how much he's a great champion. I think that's a great testament to his character and the things that he's doing, that he's getting support from his peers. And we know in a very masculine macho thing where sometimes people don't want to give that credence, but everybody is giving Anthony Blackburn that credence right now. I mean, I don't see one negative comment come up in the chat right now. So I think that's an incredibly, honorable thing for him, as that champion. And obviously, we're going to have Emmanuel Munez up here who, he got the belt from very shortly. And, so we'll see what Manny thinks about, Anthony Blackburn. If you guys have any questions for Manny, throw them in the chat right now, because we know that that's going to be coming up here also. And let's make sure that Manny's full of questions. We don't get too many appearances from Manny on our show. So let's make sure we get everything that we can. Ding, want to ask you, Road to the Title Season 3, what are you excited about this week?
Well, the timing couldn't have been more perfect, man. So what I do want to highlight is if you look at the Road to the Title episode 11, 10, 10. I'm going to say 10. I believe it's 10. Episode 10 preview. They talk about Brandon Kerr being kicked out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, I don't think, explicitly say who replaces him. And I don't know if I'm breaking news here, but, I'm going to break it anyway because we have, obviously we're going to be putting up match cards. But he actually gets replaced by a guy named Kiefer Roberts, who's in the chat here. And that's what this all means. Bye-bye, Mr. Flincher. So it'll be the Chief versus Kiefer Roberts. I'm sure they'll elaborate on why Brandon Kerr was kicked out of the house. Again, if you go look at the preview, that is said on there that Brandon does, he's removed. I'm sure we can all assume why, but I do want to make sure that that's clear. That Mr. Kiefer Roberts, who we haven't seen anything from, we don't know much about the guy. He's the person who's going to be going up against the Chief on the next episode tomorrow. But obviously, we've been waiting for a little while for our guests. We do have one of our guests in the backstage, so let's bring him up. The Water Boy. What's up, Eviahn? How are you, my man?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing, man?
Just living, brother.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Any chance we can get a little more volume from your mic? Maybe get you a little bit closer, if possible?
Try that. Testing.
How about now? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, they just got better.
Awesome, my man. How excited are you, man? My man, we're seeing the Crazy Hawaiian and Dumpling taking place in your weight class.
Yes, sir.
You excited as the rest of us are to see those two big boys go against each other?
I won't lie to you. I'm not excited. No, not at all. Dumpling had one match against a guy who was ranked 9 in our division and jumped up to number 1 just like that. Understand he is an icon in the sport. Still don't think he should have a title match already so soon.
I love it. I love it. Corey, I think Corey was probably stopped like, oh, hold on. What's about to happen? I love it, Eviahn. I love that. If you feel that you're saying it. My question to you would be, what does that mean for you? What do you do when you have that kind of a chip on your shoulder where you're like, this guy just got here, which we've seen before, right? We talked to McKinney. McKinney sort of has that same way. There's some guys that have the respect for Dumpling, and they say, you know what, he deserves it. I get it, right? Doing Crespo, he says he understands why that's happening. But for you seem like that really bothers you. So what do you do? What do you think you need to do to sort of, I guess obviously the title match is not going to go anywhere, but given the results of that fight, what do you have to do now to make something more, I guess, proper, if you will, happen as time goes on?
Honestly, yeah. What I gotta do next, I have to knock the next person out I go against. A lot of guys, just like Dwayne coming in from heavyweight, he has about 8 fights in total. And he's only rank 5 or rank 6 or something like that. And then there's other guys who have 30, 40 fights and they're not even ranked. And I just don't understand it. The whole super heavyweight division for me I'm lost. I'm lost for words for it. I don't know exactly what they're doing, how the rankings are set up, because I did lose my last bout against to Hitman, but I lost due to striking fouls on his end. I won. I won due to striking fouls on his end, and I didn't move in rankings. I stayed down. I ended up going down all the way to number 7. I don't know how that works. I'm just trying to show them that I'm supposed to be here. I'm not friends with none of these guys. I'm just trying to put my name on the platform. I'm trying to knock these fat motherfuckers out, man. You know, I'm really over it. I'm over it, man. You know, I came into this sport with an open mind, and I seen all the guys in my division, and I was like, you know, I can do this. You know, this is a cool sport. You know, but as time goes on, I started getting more fights. I started seeing the dirty techniques some of these guys have. I started seeing, you know, the fouls that guys like that are sliding by, you know, the heel lift. I don't even know what the thing is with the heel lift no more. You know, they say there's a slight heel lift. Some guys have slight heel lifts and get kicked out because it's called stepping. You know, I'm just ready to come back out and knock the fuck out somebody. At this point, I'm just ready to sleep somebody now. I'm over it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you make a lot of great points. We talked about it with Dwayne. Obviously, he beats number one, but he doesn't become number one.
Mm-hmm.
Dumpling beats number 9, as you mentioned. He becomes number one. I mean, it definitely is difficult to kind of see what the I guess the MO is or what the plan is. But for a guy like you, and I'll say this, and Corey can attest to this. Back when we were watching season 2, I personally was high on you, and I still am. I thought this guy looks like he's serious, and you alluded to it a minute ago. But he looks the part. He's athletic. He has a background. He's a big dude. I had met you in Vegas. I think right after you guys finished filming the show was the weekend for Power Slap 5. And then you guys were going home. So we saw a bunch of you guys in the casino. I don't know if you remember that, but you were wearing a hat. You had, you're a very recognizable guy. I also saw Hayden Southall there at that time. And I was like, this guy's serious. So as the season's progressing and I see you on there again, right, I'm like, oh, man, I was high on you, and I still am. You haven't had that moment yet for yourself, right? Like you said, you won your last match by DQ. That's not anything that's going to skip you to the front of the line, even if it is over number one. We've seen that Power Slap doesn't really value disqualifications the same way maybe a UFC might, right? UFC is the rankings are very sensitive to what happens in the octagon, whereas Power Slap, it doesn't seem to be that way just yet. What do you need? What do you think it is? Like, what needs to happen for you in order for you to get the respect that you're saying that you deserve, and that I think we all agree that you deserve?
I know a big thing that Erica pinpoints a lot on all of us is putting ourselves out there more on social media platforms. Working on building our own brands, posting more content on social medias, and that is something I am working towards. I'm working on, and I'm starting to build up on getting comfortable with. But I don't think that's the case for me. I think I just have to knock out the next guy, my next opponent. I just knock his ass out. I think that's what I have to do to get the respect that I need, because now I'm starting to think like they don't really care about the super heavyweight division. I feel like the super heavyweight division is just there.
Corey, I know you've got some strong feelings about this, man. When it comes to the super heavyweights, and actually, I think we talked off camera. You mentioned that you thought that the super heavies were good because of of the talent that's in that division. So, unpack what he just said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In a lot of ways, I think season 2, that was really the primer. Getting guys like yourself, getting Danny Van Heerden and McKinney, man, who really refreshed the super heavyweights. I think out of default, I actually think the fans favor the super heavyweights, to be honest with you. And if you look at how many super heavyweight matches we get on the main card, it's predominantly the super heavies that get that leg up over some of these other groups. I actually think the super heavyweight division is actually, from a health perspective, one of the most healthy, top to bottom 1 through 10 right now in that sport. I think obviously they've tried to, focus on the lightweights for season 3. I just think it's different in my perspective. I think there's a lot of young stars coming up, and there's a lot of great matchups you could make anywhere from, Crespo on down. So yeah, I mean, I look at it a little bit differently, but we know a guy like you who's in the mix, ding, from day one. And this went all the way back to the stat hero. He had you in his lineup even.
You were my captain spot.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
A guy like you that, on paper, you have all the intangibles,
Mm.
the muscle, you've got the look, you've got the chin. Maybe we don't see it on social, but I think you actually could have the personality to be a real superstar. What's it going to take, my man, for you to put all that together and see the best performance that we've seen from you?
Honestly, right now I'm working on just dedication. I have been dealing with a lot of family issues, these past 2, 3 months, but I am slowly overcoming it, preparing for my next fight. I don't want to, throw too many spoilers out in there, but y'all gonna see me again. And yeah, no, I do have the personality. I think my thing is I just don't know how to start. I am camera shy, and I just don't have the people or the support, over here to help me with it. So I'm kind of just still getting up and going on my own over here.
Gotcha,
Yeah, I mean,
man.
I think to that point, what I'll say is, and I agree, and I know we've been bullish also on sort of the content creation and putting yourself out there on social media. But I will say, guys like Kanani, guys like Russel Rivero aren't exactly they're guys a few words, and I think in some ways you probably talk a little bit more than they do, and they are big stars. They have been big stars. Obviously, we haven't seen Kalani in a while, but Kalani was the guy, right? When Crazy Hawaiian first became champion, that was the first real test that he had, and the Hawaiian knew that, right? Of course, it goes the way it goes, and then we haven't seen Kalani since. So I think that maybe stunted that trajectory a little bit. But a guy like Russell Rivero, who doesn't talk very often at all, he's not much of a showman. He just goes up there and performs, all right? And again, he looks the part, and he's a massive star. He was probably, and Corey, you could probably speak to this better than I can, but in the beginning, he was probably one of the most sought-after athletes that there were as far as social media following went. I think he was probably one of the first big booms on social media as far as followership. But I guess where I'm going with this is you have an event now that October 24th is 9, right? We don't know if you're participating in that event or not, but then there's 10 on December 6th. Then there's 11 on January 30th. So in the span of, 4 months or so, there's 3 events. Number one, can we see a guy like you compete on all 3 events? Do you have that kind of – are you about that, if you will? And then number 2, if you do that, do you think that puts you in the spot that you want to be in if one or multiple of those performances is the one that you're talking about?
Now, I definitely do believe that'll put me in the spotlight, being able to participate in the next 3 events coming up. I do definitely think that's going to put me in a higher spot and definitely give me the respect that I deserve. And again, honestly, I just stopped looking past the bullshit lately. I've came in joining season 2. I came into this sport too friendly to me. Now I've overcome, going against the hitman who has weird techniques in his slapping, paying attention to the crazy Hawaiian, looking at the techniques in his slapping. And yeah, no, at this point now it's fuck everybody. I'm here to knock anybody I have out in front of me. I'm here to knock them out. I'm tired of playing the nice guy at this point. I feel like I've been too nice to the guys, trying to make myself too much presentable. And at this point, now I'm just here to win and make sure I get the light that I need.
Yeah, my man. I want to say a couple things to you real quick, my dude. I think you have that personality. Like I said to you before, I think you have the ability to get out there and be that person. Obviously, when you're in that limelight in the center, I think you just got to go out there and do it, my man. I think you just got to dedicate to it. I think you have the capacity. I think everybody does. Make do with what you have. You're coming on this show, man, and you're talking to us. I mean, so I know you have that ability to do it. And, I think as soon as you get the go ahead, whenever you have another match coming up, I think just get front and center with it. People want to see people that are real, people that are relevant. You don't need to have 1 million followers.
Right.
If you could have a couple hundred followers and all of a sudden you drop a Waterboy shirt, you sell a couple hundred shirts, you probably just doubled your wage for the month. Like, it just takes that clan. You find your clan, you find your piece, the people that resonate with you. The people that don't, just block them and move on. Because really, if you can't connect with them and they're not going to support you in your mission, wherever you're going to go, then they're of no value to you, and just move on. And I think you can do it, my man. I know it's there's going to be a ton of great matchups there, for you in the future. Just kind of looking at it right now, you're sitting at number 7. Like you said, you dropped 2 spots. But I mean, dude, we could go, Crespo, Manu, Kalani, actually, the 2 guys, the 2 football players, Kalani and yourself, could be an exciting match. What do you think of the prospects of that?
Hey, I'm ready for anything. I'm not scared of nobody. It does not matter. At this point, put anybody in front of me. I am just here to prove the point that I have the power to knock people out. I've been focused too much on technique and focused too much on hand placement, and that I've been missing out on power and speed. And now I'm about to just go out there and just light the next person up, And I just can't wait. I can't wait to show y'all, because y'all gonna be very, very excited for the next fight of mine.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you joining us. Appreciate you coming on. Great to hear from you. I know we're going to see you up there real soon, and hopefully you're going to show up and show out, my man.
Oh, yes. I plan on to, and I'm going to.
Awesome, buddy. Take care, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I'll see y'all soon.
All right. Take care, my man. All right. Eviahn Scott. Great to hear him on here. Love definitely to hear more of him. Love to see him more on social. There's one of those guys, actually, that could be a super match between him and Kalani. Could actually pole vault that next person up and actually create another contender. We haven't seen Kalani for a while. We have, obviously Eviahn's kind of there. But what do you think of that prospect of potentially being a feeder?
Yeah, I always love the idea of the athletes going against one another. I think ultimately what it comes down to is at the end of the day, we're all just trying to figure out who's kind of the alpha. And when it comes to a Kalani, who again I said was the guy, right? At some point in time, he was touted to be the next big prospect. Obviously, he faces Hawaiian, and it doesn't go that way. But I think when you talk about people coming in from athletic backgrounds, right? Eviahn talked about it a minute ago. He called the rest of the guys in the super heavyweights, fat. I think he called them fat boys or something like that. And I've said it before, he looks the part. And so that excitement when you're able to see a person who you're like, you know what, they really do have all the attributes to be a big star. It's much more exciting. And then you figure out how well do some of those things and some of those skills, the training, the discipline, how well does that translate into a fight? It's very exciting. And if you remember, McKinney versus Eviahn went viral, like crazy viral. And it wasn't for one slap or the other. It was for the way that he absorbed the strike and what he did with the big roar. And it was humongous. And we were all kind of blown away. Like, it's not just the strikes.
I hear you, man. We've seen those glimpses. Like I said, we've seen glimpses of the striking. We've seen glimpses of the defense. I think we just need him to put it all together in a match and really make it kind of all come to fruition for him. Because like I said, there's a ton of great matchups there. I mean, really, like outside of Dumpling and the Crazy Hawaiian, we've got, the Hawaiian Hitman, Danny Van Heerden. We've got Kalani, got McKinney, Dwayne Crespo, and himself. I mean, there's, 5 guys right there that you could intertwine and get phenomenal matches. I know we haven't really brought up his name, but we've got, Lorenzo Florian as well. I think we're waiting to see more from him and wanting to see more from him to come in and really show his, his true potential. And we'll see who is right in this one. Is Danny Van Heerden right, or is Lorenzo Florian right as the trajectory of his career and his career set thing? I put you on the spot on this one.
And the trajectory of Slapdog's career?
Yeah. Because Danny Van Heerden's got a very polarizing thought on one Mr. Slapdog.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's got to redeem himself, right? He showed a great prospect in his first fight, and then and that was it, right? And then it all went away when he hurt himself. But I mean, he's got the power. He's got the power.
100%. Let's throw this one up here. How many events do you guys think we're going to see in 2025? Over under is 7. So I'll start off. I think that one is over. I think we see over 7 events. Pretty easy on that one, I think. The Fontaine Bleau was 5 events. We know one of them is coming in December, so we've got 4 of them coming up. We've got 4 of them coming up in 2025. We throw in the Saudi Arabia in there, and we've got 5 events, and then we've got essentially 2 over in Abu Dhabi again. So we're at 7, and then it's a matter of could we squeak one more event out? Correct me if I'm wrong, Ding. Has the UFC ever had a residency like this in Las Vegas? I know they've held events at like Planet Hollywood. They've held events, one-offs here and there, but have they ever actually put forth a string in an official capacity such as this?
I mean, they have the MGM deal, right? So if they do things in Vegas, it goes under. I'm sure like years ago, before ESPN, before all these big deals, I'm sure they did, but not in any recent memory. By far, the last 7 or 8 years.
Gotcha, my man. All right, guys. So you guys see me working hard here. So a couple things. Unfortunately, Vern Cathy doesn't have strong internet. He's not going to be joining us tonight. He was supposed to be on here 8 minutes ago. Didn't take place. Vern Cathy, pop up in that chat and apologize to everybody because we promoted you on here and you didn't make it through. But I will give you the pass. You're out there at your kids' football practice, so we commend you for that. We know how hard it is and all that jazz. So without further ado, Vern, you have been replaced on Smack Talk with Mr. Chris Debow. What's going on, my man?
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I actually just moved, so I'm no longer in Texas.
Yeah, talk to me about those life changes.
Dude, it's wild. So I was trying to figure out how to move in with Garrett, because I lived in Texas, and I live in Texas. He lived in Missouri. So I was trying to figure out how to get a ride there. And Blackburn just was like, yo, I'll leave right now, and drove from fucking Detroit, scooped me up in Texas, just road tripped it, went and saw Wesley compete at, and then dropped me off at Garrett's, and now I'm in Missouri.
Sorry. You cut out for a second. I need you to repeat that because I feel like I missed an important piece of information. So Blackburn drove from Michigan to get you in Texas. Then what happened after Texas?
Then we just road tripped, saw Wesley do some jiu-jitsu here in Missouri. Well, I didn't because I passed out at the hotel. There was a part where me and Blackburn went to go fishing, and we got attacked by a bunch of bees. It was shitty. I got stung like a dozen times.
The story gets even better. So what Garrett are you living with?
Garrett Grimes, good guy.
The good guy. What are you doing? Are you like, what does this mean? What's this? Is it a hand signal or are you trying to show us?
It's a G. Garrett G, good guy.
Okay. Got you, my man. Got you. All right. So you're living with Garrett Grimes now. Is that strategic for your slap career or what?
I mean,
grill a smack?
I don't know about that, but I'm definitely going to get on my ass about working all the time. I've never stuck to a consistent routine. I always just wait till I get a call and then train my ass off. And I just got out of a long, several year relationship. So I'm just going to focus on slap and just fucking get jacked and, knock this next guy out and see what it is.
Yeah,
because I ain't gonna lie, I like the new season. I like how they're showing more stuff going on inside the house, but I don't know. Some of the welterweights I'm not too impressed with.
Gotcha, my man. I mean, you know what? Bottle up that emotion, put it towards something constructive. I think it's the best thing you can do in this moment. Being around like-minded guys, being around guys like Anthony Blackburn. I'm sure you're always talking all things power slap, talking strategy. Could we see you join the Right on One Army?
Man, so funny enough, I've been practicing it a little bit, when I'm hitting the bob and whatnot. I'm getting comfortable with it. I've just never, when I'm doing the match, I've never, it's never been a thought. My first 2 strikes ever were just both on 2, and then my third one's on 3, and it's been on 3 ever since. So I might change it up in the future, but I tend to go with what's comfortable. The Right on One, I would if I was going to do that to anybody, I would do it to kill Martin just because.
So talk to me about Kill Martin. What's the beef behind him? We got him here right
It's
now.
not, like, it started off just like talking shit because fuck you, we're gonna have a match, and then the match fell through because I fucked up, and residual shit talking, and then after a while, it was one of those things where it's like, you know, this guy's kind of funny, so I do like him, but also fuck him.
There seems to be a lot of people saying fuck Sean Kilmartin these days. Maybe he's turned into the Joker of Power Slap, and I'm sure he's loving every moment of it.
Oh yeah, he breathes it. Fucking but yeah, no. I can't wait for whoever I get next. Honestly, I feel like because I'm coming off of that split decision loss, that it'll probably be one of the newer guys that'll have to fight down. But I'm not worried about it.
I got one last one for you before we go over to Ding. But could
sure.
we ever see you get to 155?
I mean, realistically, that's where I should be combat sports wise. I think over the course of the next year or so in Power Slap, you'll see a lot of dudes drop weight classes more frequently, just because if you compare us to like the MMA, like a lot of the dudes in our weight classes are undersized. So as the competition stacked with more competitive builds and whatnot, like you're going to see people getting into shape and actually getting around to where they should be. So like I walk around like 185. If I were to just get my shit together, I could get to 155. Honestly, no problem. It's where I should be fighting at. But I'm so comfortable at 170. So until they give me a reason to go down there, like if no one can fucking give Robert some fucking competition over the next year, then I might just have to.
Awesome, my man. Ding, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, Debo, we haven't seen you in a little while. I mean, you talked about the division and some of the guys that you can fight. Is there anybody in particular that you have your eye on?
Honestly, if I'm fighting up, then I want something like Cole Young, Waylon Frost, Andrew Provost, because I don't want to rematch Zach unless he's right there in front of me. And if I'm fighting down, then it can be anybody they want to, you know, feed me and give me a little ego boost while I climb the ladder. But if I'm fighting down at like Raiden or Sean Kilmartin, that would be my ideal out of the newer guys.
So you mentioned Raiden. We've seen Raiden on the show fight at middleweight.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a welterweight, but they didn't want him to cut that much weight in that amount of time because he showed up a little heavy. And yeah, he just he tagged me in some stuff and was like, all these welterweight dudes are too small. Like, I'm going to eat them alive. It's time for the old dogs to leave. It's like a new people's time, this and that. And I'm like, this is a new sport. What do you mean old dogs? First off. Second off, if he keeps saying he's going to take my number 8 spot. So I told him he can have it when I'm done with it. Like, when I move up, go for it, bud. And as far as like being bigger than everyone else, like, you just took my spot as the chubbiest welterweight, bro. We're both 5'9". What do you mean you're bigger than everybody? I don't get it. Like, there's a few welterweights that are like 6'2". Like,
so you didn't take too kindly to the trash talk.
No, it's just funny to me. Like I support it. Like, I still give people tips on their slaps and shit, and like some things that you should and shouldn't say. Like never be one of those people to badmouth the fucking company or like the matches or critique them or be like, oh, the refs are shit, because like they're getting better every time. And it's a bad look for the people, like, to talk shit about the people you work for. But other than that, I welcome all the shit talking. Like, if you didn't have that confidence, you shouldn't even be here. Like, you should think you're going to knock me out. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But like, if you didn't think that, then you shouldn't fight me.
You know what? That's a great perspective, man. I agree with that. I think I'll speak for Corey when I say that, you know, fighting against the establishment, I don't think is ever the right idea. You're never going to strong arm anybody into anything. But I do think if you disagree with something that somebody else says or whatever part of it creates some sort of story, as long as it's not completely manufactured, like, I think sometimes we've seen, like, you know, guys that you know are good friends, they try to put on a show on stage to pretend they don't like each other, or there's a push or a shove. It's like we know that was fake. You could see it, right? That part I think is not fun. But if it's legitimate, people don't like each other and they're talking trash. When they fight, I just think it makes it that much bigger.
Oh yeah, it's just like for me, I've never if people need that to get themselves to the point where they can perform super well, I'm like go for it. Like Zach Zane, he gets real emotional when he fights, like because like he's been fighting for years. Like that's the type of energy you need when you're in the cage. But like personally, I've never had to be mad at somebody to hit him. So I think having a calmer perspective can you can think about things during the match a little more. But whatever works for him, like it's cool. So it puts on more of a show for sure. But I just don't even mid match, I'm not up there getting pissed off. The only time I've ever been mad in a match was that last one.
Yeah, you talked about the show a minute ago. Obviously, there's not a ton of welterweight talent, but what do you think both about the welterweights and then in general? When I said welterweights, I'm not considering Raiden in that conversation because he didn't fight at welterweight on the show.
I mean, Howard, there's been a lot of knockouts this season across all the weight classes. They're spouting a lot of knockouts per capita for the amount of fights that are going on, so that's dope. Shows that these dudes can go up here and bang. I just personally, I like it when the matches go a little further, and you get an absolute dogfight out of them. But clean some stuff up, and there's no reason that these guys can't be really fucking great for the sport.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the knockouts. There you go. Look, featuring. You talked about the knockouts, and I think I just started to see a little bit more press, not much, but I know Vice made an article on it, and Isaac Gwenter did something with a local, news channel, where there's a little bit more criticism. Do you think that you would attribute that to obviously the showcase being what you see is just more knockouts in succession?
Yeah, honestly, that does make sense. I mean, match further because obviously it showcases that not only anybody can deal out a lot of damage, but can you take the damage too? So the fact that these guys you don't want a bunch of season 1 Vern Cathys where it's this dude can knock out a bunch of people, but the moment he gets it's a bunch of glass cannons. If the dudes are getting knocked out left and right, then people are going to assume that this sport is super dangerous when in fact that maybe these dudes just haven't developed their defense yet because they've had so few matches. This is still really new for them. So pushing the knockouts because it's awesome to watch, dope. And they're super strong, that's awesome. But I can see how people would see that it's even more dangerous. It's not. Football's more dangerous. Football's super dangerous. I don't care what people say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that argument will pass all of our I think we'll all be, bones with no meat and no skin by the time that argument is continuing to be had.
No, the CTE allegations will never stop.
Yeah. So, are you a guy that subscribes to all press is good press?
I mean, I did kind of fucking do that fucking shit where they were giving me shit for all power slap. They saying that power slap athletes were stupid for cutting weight in the first place after I had that weight cutting issue. So I had to deal with that a little bit, but I wouldn't say all press is good press, but shit, as long as you're talking about me, cool, I guess.
I had a couple before we let you go. Debo, I don't know a single match that you actually weren't pissed off at. I think all your matches you get mad.
So I wouldn't say I'm mad. I'm just that's the energy I have when I'm competing. I'm not actually fuck this guy. I don't like you. It wasn't even until the end of that last match. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That last one was the first one where I was you fucking kidding me? And I got all kinds of mad.
100%. 100%, my
man. No. Because even when Manny got me, dude, I'd never been rocked in my life. No one had ever made my fucking brain just go bing, and I'm oh shit. But that happened, and I couldn't even be mad at the guy. I was motherfucker, he got me. He hit me harder than I hit him, damn it. But the match was that. You flinched and got rewarded. Fuck you. And then you think you're hard. Ooh.
We got a question for you. All right, Debow, how tall are you? 5'6" or 5'9"?
I'm 5'9". Fuck Kill Martin.
Awesome, buddy. All right, one last one for me, my man. One last one. Did your Funko Pop collection make it with you to Missouri?
It did not. That was too big of a collection.
All right, my man.
No, I'm gonna have to replenish it.
All right, my dude. Well,
love you boys. Yeah.
How about a Corey Sweargot slap news Funko Pop? How about that?
Dude, yeah, I definitely need to get one of those. That's hard.
Or do you want the fucking big bald head of fucking Mr. Ding?
God, dude.
I'm gonna take the Corey one.
Or do you want the one or do you want the thing that's to the left of all of that?
Oh, is it a Jeeves?
No, ask Corey what it is.
Well, I just got a second one hanging out here too, but you want this instead?
Oh, did Chris Thomas sell you his belt?
Well, Mr. Chris Thomas has told you that, so not me.
No, that's just me taking a jab at Chris Thomas is a crazy person. He blocked me like 6 months ago and everything.
You're not too far off, my man. So,
no,
good, my dude.
That's fucking awesome.
Let's go, buddy. All right, man. Appreciate you joining us, okay? We'll talk soon.
All right. Love you guys. Peace.
Take care, man. Bye. All right, Ding. Every time. All right. We're going to go down memory lane on this one. I'm excited we were able to make this happen because this is a guy that some of you may or may not know. But he's doing some pretty cool stuff. He's staying active. Probably one of the most active fighters across MMA, grappling. I'm sure he's even done some bare knuckle. One of the OGs and guy actually on season 3, he went up against Robert Trujillo. Who could it be? Anybody in the chat? Could you guess? California kid. Probably one of the nicest guys around. Anybody? Fought in at least 3 different slap fight organizations. Think about that for a second, Ding. Can you even name 3 slap fighting organizations? That should be the starting question.
Yeah. Slap fighting championship, slap fight championship, power slap.
There we go.
Icon Battlegrounds.
Kanani, Jules Scott, Paul Teague, Devin Schwann. Haven't got there.
No. I don't think they heard you right. This guy fought Robert Trujillo.
Yes.
On season 1. You said season 3 by accident.
Oh, did I? Okay, my bad.
Season 1.
My bad. All right.
Yeah, it was Uncle Micah. Uncle Micah fought Robert Trujillo. La Cuca, you got it big, man. Good one. Come on, Jesse. You were there, bro. Seriously, you know this guy.
Schwann.
The guy who defeated Trujillo.
Trujillo's never been defeated, has he?
Trujillo and Scott KO'd. Jewel.
Let's just go. Come on. Nobody can guess it. Come
Jesse,
on.
you know.
Come on. This guy is active. 3 fight organizations. This guy's got more fights than you guys have kids.
Color.
Let's go. Come on.
His last name is a color.
Let's just bring him in. What's going on, Anthony?
What's going on, bro?
Dude, the guys in the chat don't know who you are, my man. This is a tragedy.
That's horrible, ain't it? It's terrible.
Let's talk about it, my man. You are one of the most active guys that I know.
Yeah, man.
Championship. What's the California organization called? I forget what that one is.
Oh, Slap Wars.
Slap Wars.
Yeah.
I know you competed with those guys as well in MMA.
I did, yeah. Yeah, I did MMA against a lot of the guys, actually.
100%. And you had your moment on Power Slap.
Yeah.
Dude, how have you been, man? Like, what's been going on? And talk to me about your last appearance there with Slap Fight.
Man, I'm actually I started a new job about a month ago. I'm working as a union logger now. So I kind of just been paying attention more of my career. I'm still doing, of course, the slap stuff. I went against Mallet in the my first slap fight championships. It was a different organization. You know, it's the only organization that I've actually slapped for that makes you go on 3. You know, you have to go on the 3. That threw me off, knowing that for Power Slap and Slap Wars, I've always went on 2. You know, so it was kind of a little different rule setting. You know, they accept a little different. So it was a good fight. You know, we went all 7 rounds. I definitely did some damage to the guy. I don't feel like I got very much damage done to me at all, but you know, the getting into that routine of going on 3 was my hardest thing. By the 4th round, I kind of dialed it in. But yeah, man, it's I don't know. It was definitely fun. The guys that are all there are definitely more of a brotherhood. You know, they're not they don't down talk or shit talk really. You know, there's a little, but nothing super extreme. You know, it's just good atmosphere, man. It was cool. Yeah, I got some more in the works.
Awesome, man. I mean, just give me your unbiased opinion. Could be whatever it is. What was your favorite event that you competed in? Slap Wars, Slap Fight Championship, or Power Slap? And tell me
Power Slap. I've actually when UFC first came up, and I was only 8 years old, and I remember watching my first MMA fight for the UFC, and I always said that I'm going to be part of the UFC somehow, and so being able to be part of Power Slap was, you know, a big accomplishment for me, whether I did all the way or I had the few fights that I did have. That was probably the most meaningful and memorized thing that I went through in actually my whole life, other than my marriage and kids, of course. But
100%. Any chance you reach out to Colton Cole and those guys in Missouri about potential coming up match? Did you reach out?
You know it. Yeah, 100%. Definitely some of the lightweights that I just seen them bring in after this last season. I feel like Robert and Jewel can walk through any one of them. I don't honestly feel that some of the lightweights there's don't get me wrong, there are some that I feel are going to do decent. But yeah, no, I feel that Power Slap was to bring me back, that I would definitely have a good chance in the lightweight. You know, I'm actually in the higher lightweights now. I'm actually walking around at 151. You know, so back then I was at like 136, 143 was like my max, you know, so it's really hard to get to that weight. But I've been doing a lot of different kind of strength exercises and building to really get myself bigger. I'm taking a lot of protein shakes and stuff, so it's been helping out.
Awesome, man. We see Chin Reaper talking about the Freak Show on the 5th. Could we see you back in action? Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. All right.
You might want to stay tuned. That one's going to be live. Be 8 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, yeah, definitely. You want to see the Hunter? I actually changed my name from the Predator to the Hunter. My son's middle name's the Hunter, and in Iraq it's Team Ego Mean, but it actually means the Hunter, and so I ended up changing my fight name to that. So
awesome, my man. Ding, over to you,
Anthony. Man,
man.
You've competed in a few different organizations, so I'm curious if you could create the perfect rule set for Slap, right? The rounds you talked about being, you know, mandatory on 3. The way the fouls are, like, what would you say, having had experience in different ones? What's kind of the sweet point? How many rounds? You know, specific things about windups, stepping, the way that the fouls are distributed.
Honestly, you know, Power Slap has a lot of it that really needs to be there because of the big stage wise. They have all the cameras, you know, so I think that for any other organization, say if I started my own, I would make sure that I had the correct amount of media and film coverage for all angles. For like what I did for Slap Fights, you know, they only have that one angle. So to really see, you know, the other person slap, you know, say they're slapping you from the right side, you're not really seeing exactly where their wrist is landing on the other person's face, because for one, you don't have the camera view and you only have one person watching to see if they're fouling or not. So that was a really big thing for me because in my fight for slap fights, I felt like I didn't actually club as much as they said I did. But I felt like I got clubbed, but there was no footage to prove otherwise. So that's my biggest thing is having that replay to be able to see both sides, to be able to know for a fact. The same thing when it comes to the stepping or the, moving, turning your foot in or not. Having that camera and the angles, it's a big thing for replays. And other than that, they're getting it, like it's a new sport. So of course they're getting out all the kinks and they're, changing a little here and there. But that's my biggest thing is just making sure that you have that extra footage to be able to know, that because that's going to determine the fight, is if you don't have the replays to be able to really see if there's a foul or if there's a stepping or if there's a, yeah, that's where I'm at with it, honestly.
Yeah. And then obviously the frequency of the events is a little different now than it was. I mean, what do you make of, if I'm not mistaken, November, December, January, it's actually 3 months. So in the span of 3 months, there will be 3 events. And the rule only says medically that these guys need at least 7 days between a fight if there's no knockout. So
right.
I mean, what do you think about that? That's pretty awesome.
I love it, actually. I love to compete. I'm really into the slap game. It's gave me a whole new mindset on combat sports. I tell you what, I like it. I love it. I'm down to fight once every 3 months or even twice every 3 months or, I like it. I think that it's going to make it even blow up even more. Having that many events within that shorter amount of time is going to just make people want to be into it more. I feel they're going to see it more. It's going to be something that they're like, oh, well, this is actually something that's growing. So I just feel like it'll get more people into it.
And then final one for me, obviously you were a guy that way back from season 1. What do you think about this season? What's the biggest differences that you spot, not only in the talent, but in the way that the season is sort of produced and given to the audience, across the board. And then of course there's some semantics in the house.
Right. Honestly, I think the best thing that they did with this season is they're showing more of everybody. They're not kind of just citing out certain people and giving them a big amount of showtime. They're actually breaking it out and giving every, potential slap champion their real time on, so the structural of it, I think that, they kind of, they're filming wise, they're able to kind of dial it in and get it to where it's more entertaining for the people watching at home, because they're actually putting in a bunch more of just the talking, and I like this season. I think that I'm not big on shit talking. Even when I was in season 1, they kept telling me, "Oh, you got to get this way." It's like, well, that's really not who I am, But Power Slap, they are big on all their guys. I feel are big on the smashing and getting into the other people's head, and it's part of the fight game. I've been in MMA since I was fucking 17 years old. I'm 33, and I've had so much smack talking and shit talking, and so that's what I see a lot of. Is they're wanting to get their name out there. They think that running that is going to get them that views, and so I see it with me. That's what I think. I see in Power Slap is people are really talking more to try to get that screen time, and I don't know. I'm not about it.
Awesome, my man. Anthony.
I just got off work. That's why I'm all hella sweating. I just work 10-hour days in the woods. So
All good, buddy. All good, man. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Stay in touch. I'm sure we'll see you up there October 5th, unofficially. Wink, wink. Take care, my man. We'll chat soon, okay?
All right, brother.
All right. Ding.
Unofficially, wink, wink.
There we go. Dude, come on, man. One of these days, people will start figuring out how I kind of roll. I throw a lot of I talk real fast off the side of my mouth. There's probably some facts and truth behind it. You know,
Do we want to unofficially wink, wink anything for Power Slap 9? You got anything for us on that front, bro? God damn.
Wink, wink.
We'll see you on October 5th. Wink, wink. Not like that was obvious.
Power Slap 9. I mean, I don't know, dude. Wink, wink. We got Paige Van Zandt doing next exercises. Wink, wink. What does that mean?
That's wild.
That's wild.
The comments on that video were wild.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that video, it was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to know some of the guys from round 2.
Listen, let's just say you'd be silly if Paige Van Zandt's not on every single card from now until she's fucking dead. That's the truth.
100%.
She's too big of a star, and she had too big of an entrance.
Hey, I got Chris Thomas declared on his social this week that he is a bigger star than Paige Van Zandt.
Is that real?
According to Chris, it is.
I didn't see that. That's incredible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Saying that he pulls bigger numbers. Go look at the social and Power Slap.
Listen, if Chris does, I'm not. You know what? I'll leave it alone.
Oh, good thing. We're getting silly now. It's past the hour mark. Appreciate everybody who watched to this point. We even got Lekuka watched to the end because he sent me a DM. He said if he gets a match in Power Slap and he wins, he is going to get up on that stage. He's going to deliver the arrow of death from the top of the podium. So I appreciate you all, everybody, for tuning into this point and kicking it with us. Much love, much respect. We're back at it tomorrow night. The final slap taking place right after the release, approximately 6:40 in the West, which I guess is 9:40 in the East. Ding. Until tomorrow, my man. Take care, my dude.